Welcome back, everyone, to Grand Tactician, The Civil War. It is March 31st of 1862 as we continue on this Confederate campaign. If you haven't seen the campaign to this point, there's a link in the description that will take you back to Episode 1. We are now using version 1.0, the full release of this game. I'm excited for that, and I'm glad that we are at that place now. And if you are a patron, I uploaded a video that is private just for the patrons at the $10 a month and up level, so you can see exactly where your unit is in the game. I went over every single army so you could see all of those. And if you want to consider becoming a patron at the captain level on up, you get to request your own brigade in the game, and I would love for you to do that. That is a great way to support this channel and to keep me continuing on making this content. Let's go ahead and continue on with this campaign. The Army of Georgia is just about ready to complete these two supply depots down here in southwestern Virginia. Once they do that and the army is fully supplied and ready to go, then we will send the Army of the Appalachians and the Army of Georgia to converge on the Army of Tennessee and push them out and hopefully clear everything up here in the Shenandoah Valley. We're not quite there yet, and we're just holding with the 2nd and 3rd Corps here, and the 1st Corps alone is holding in northeastern Virginia against any threat from the Army of the Chesapeake. Out in the west, we've got a big gap here between these two armies, and once we can take care of the Army of the Tennessee, the Army of Georgia is going to move into eastern Kentucky. We want to take Kentucky away from the Union and get them to join the Confederacy, but in order to do that, we have to drive the Union Army out, and we have to capture Louisville. We're working on that. The Army of Tennessee under Johnston, which is about 42,000 strong, has got to face off against the Department of the Ohio. There's also another army that is being formed up here in the north. We have the Missouri State Guard that has taken Cairo, and now we are going to use them to just kind of hold position here while we work on moving our Western Army up toward St. Louis. Now, we defeated an army that has since disappeared. I don't know where they are, and I'm a little concerned they may cut off our supply. What is going on here? That's right. We've got to replace McCulloch. I think we talked about that in the last episode, that there was an issue there with him as commander of the Western Army. So let's take a look at that. There doesn't appear to be an actual issue that's showing up here. But they are showing as being unhappy, so I'm not entirely sure why that is, except that there's a lot of fame amongst the subordinates. D.H. Hill actually looks like he would be a better commander to replace Benjamin McCulloch, so I think we're going to go ahead and do that. We can't just replace him with a subordinate, though, so what we've got to do then is we've actually got to replace Hill. So let's replace Leroy Stafford with William Whiting, who just came back from injury. Then we will replace Hill with Stafford, I guess. And then we'll replace McCulloch with D.H. Hill. Hopefully that deals with the unhappiness issue. I also need to get some more artillery in here. So let's go ahead and recruit an artillery unit for them. And I wouldn't mind adding actually some extra cavalry here. So let's go ahead and recruit another cavalry unit that'll show up in about 3 weeks. All right, we've got an interesting one here. We're going to be taking on the combined forces of the Department of the Ohio and the Department of the West, about 46,000 men combined, against my nearly 40,000 men in the Army of the Tennessee, which is suffering from some low morale. But hopefully, those 5 brigades that have low morale will build that morale back up before we get into combat. So we'll have to keep an eye on those low morale units and hold them back from the front lines if at all possible. But this is a crucial battle because it's in southwestern Kentucky, and if he drives me back, I may have to give up Kentucky and I may have to fall back to Nashville. Okay, the really good news here is that we are on the defensive, which means we're going to get to choose the terrain, and we're going to get to defend these objectives, which are actually way back here, all the objectives. So the good news there is that we can really pretty much anywhere between these objectives and the river, we can defend. But what concerns me a little bit here is if I decided to dig in, say, right along here, all he needs to do is cross up here. So I feel like I might be better off to try and put my defensive position back here further. And like I said before, what we need to really concentrate on are hiding in the back row, basically, those divisions that have some weak morale. Like Walker's Greyhounds are nervous right now, but hopefully by the time the enemy arrives, that won't be an issue. Okay, kind of a unique strategy we're going with here. We're going to have two divisions over here. Longstreet's division and Cox's division, they're going to hold right near this objective, but the objective is actually going to be in front of us because we've got these fences here. We've got a good defensive position. I like where we are. So I'm going to put Longstreet's artillery back behind here, 10-pounder Parrots, 12-pounder Napoleons. We've also got the Battle River Rebels with their Napoleons over here. And then we'll just hold that line. I may try to build some fortifications right here, some breastworks at least. Then I've got a bit of cavalry, and then Walker's division, which is one of the ones that's nervous and unstable right now, although hopefully that'll change before the battle actually commences. I think I'll go ahead and throw this other cavalry over here into the center as well, because there's a big gap between the two sides of the line because I'm trying to guard these objectives, and I don't know which way he's going to come down. Once I know where he's going to come down, we can react with the other half of our army. All right, we're on to day 2, and we still have no sight of the enemy. Hopefully our morale improves. It's still at 45. Let's get a look at where things stand with some of those units that we're having some issues with. They're still showing as unstable. I'm not entirely sure why that is. Here it is here. So overall change per hour, it says plus 45%. So it started broken 30%, but it should start going up. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't at this point. We just got to give it some time. There was another unit over here, the Louisiana Tigers, that are unstable. And again, I don't know what the issue is other than it started broken for some reason. So we'll see what happens. Okay, well, interesting. He's going at both. So it looks like I placed my armies pretty well, or my divisions pretty well. He's coming at both objectives at the same time. So we may have actually planned this perfectly. Now we just got to defend, and hopefully we can keep these guys out of it for the most part. My main line units in the center on each side have pretty good morale, good weapons, and a good defensive position. So it looks like Wheeler's Crossroad is probably where we see first action. All right, well, he's pulled everybody back. So my concern now is that he's considering a flank attack. So what I'm going to do here is, well, I'm not going to do that, that's for sure. We're going to tell these guys to avoid the roads. Because what I want to do is throw the cavalry out on the flanks, but I don't want them to take the roads to do it. Just because I want to keep an eye out in case he decides to get really creative and try to outflank me on either side. Okay, well, moving the cav out here has given us a glimpse of what he's got, and he's built up his force over here to the left, so I could see him trying to do a sweeping attack over on my left. So I'm trying to shift some units over there. I may go ahead and send Walker's division over there too, though my concern here, and actually I'm going to hit stop because we're going to have to tell them to also not use the roads because I don't want them marching right in front of the Union lines. One of these brigades actually is confident, so we might put the Ragged Old First out there in front and hold the other two in as reserves. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and shift this division over while he's just using his artillery right now and doesn't appear to be doing much else. I'm also going to go ahead and send this cavalry up here to see what's going on up here. If he shifted his entire army over here, I'm going to bring these two divisions over and hit his flank, but I need to know what's going on up here first. Alright, I'm starting to think it's fair to say that he is probably moving his whole army over here, because now I see more troops coming in on this side on the right, so it's looking more like that. We'll find out for sure once we get Interesting that Davidson is going to go up to the Davidson farm, but that's going to work out nicely. I've put the 11th AFDRA Yellow Riders on counter battery fire, and they just annihilated a battery right here with these 14-pounder Jameses. Now they're going to start firing on this battery here, and let's see if they have equal amounts of success. He just sent more men up to reoccupy those guns. But let's see if we can cause some casualties. There's 10 guns there, and they've got just 4 there. I've got these 2 brigades laying down because they're taking some casualties from the artillery, being out in the open there. And I've gone ahead and decided to at least move Cox Division up here to this spot here. Once I can see that this path is clear up here, we'll bring Longstreet up into these woods. Okay, he has not moved his entire army over there. He's still got forces here. Davidson just ran into a brigade. So we're going to go ahead and... they've got dismount orders. I mean, evade orders. But I'm going to go ahead and dismount and engage. These are mixed cavalry weapons, so we don't have the good stuff there yet. But I am going to go ahead and change the orders here. For Cox Division, we're going to send them north instead, and we're going to engage these forces up here. We're going to do the same with Longstreet. Let's go ahead and send him forward. He's got a lot of guns. Actually, would kind of like to send maybe Tillman's 1st Texas Battery over here to help out, because we've only got just the 1 unit of artillery there. I think I'm actually going to put him right here. Okay, in the meantime, hopefully Davidson can hold off. They're taking a lot of casualties, but hopefully inflicting a lot too. No, they're not. At the moment, they're losing more than they're inflicting. But right now, their job is to hold until Cox Division can get up there. And hopefully the forces on this side choose not to push an attack. Because if we can drive these guys off, then send Cox Division over here to help out. That'll be a best case scenario. Let's send Tillman, actually, right up here to the top of this hill, Roberts. It's a little bit of a rise there. Alright, so Davidson's brigade's not going to hold out much longer, as we can see. He's really quickly losing men. He's over 400 and climbing. Thankfully, Cox Division's going to be in position very soon. But this line is getting longer and longer by the moment for the Confederates, or for the Union, and I don't like it, especially since I've got some pretty weak brigades over here at the moment. Oh, Ragged Old First is about the only one we can really count on. Alright, Davidson's not going to hold much longer. He's going to be falling back at any moment now. Thankfully, our infantry's getting into position just in the nick of time. And probably right as he falls back, we will engage. In fact, Longstreet's men are not far behind. I don't know why Tillman's taking so long to make his move, but he hasn't even started yet. Wow, interesting. It's actually his infantry that's choosing to fall back. I didn't think that was going that well. Oh, he lost 608 men. We lost 700, so pretty even there. Let's go ahead and mount these guys up. They lost almost a third of their men, but did their jobs and did it well. And now we've got one division in place and a second one starting to. Oh, Davidson's going to break instead of moving the way I wanted him to. That's okay. Alright, and now he's moving forward over here. So I was hoping that would not happen like that. Alright, we got to pull this cav back because we don't want them engaging 2 entire Union brigades. I'm going to shift Harrison down off the hill. Here we go. This is going to get pretty intense now. He's got the morale advantage. I've got a huge advantage on objectives. we can drive off a couple of brigades, I think we'll win. So far, so good. We've got the protection going in our favor. Alright, looks like my cav didn't pull back yet. However, we've got a nice advantage here. It looks like right now he's just got one brigade there and then some artillery. Pike, bring your guns up. What are we waiting on here, man? And I don't know what on earth is going on with Tillman. We just can't seem to get him to move his guns over here where I want him to. Alright, the cav's falling back now. I'm going to go ahead and bring Wharton up, even though I mean, Harrison was supposed to move up, but he didn't for some reason. Even though they're unstable, they could still get some fire on this brigade. Alright, let's get moved up. We need to get more fire on this guy. There's no reason we can't have 4 or 5 brigades firing on one here. And once we drive him off, we'll shift cock over to this side. Honestly, Longstreet could hold them by itself, but I don't want to disengage because there are 2 more brigades coming up. So that's the cav breaking back. I figured they probably would. Alright, what's the casualty situation now? It's pretty even. It's almost exactly even in terms of percentage. We ought to be able to do some real damage here, though. The numbers are clearly in our favor in terms of the men engaged. Alright, Houston Hounds, start firing. Are these guys still laying down? Is that the problem? They are. Stand up and fire, please. That was my bad. Let's push up. Let's get 3 brigades firing on these guys. Wow. Armistead's lost over 400 men. Sons of 98 have lost almost 300. Inflicted 1,000 casualties on the 3rd Brigade, though. Gordon's in contact. Kennesaw Mountain boys. A little concerned about this right here. We got Burnham's detachment. Alright, I want you guys to fire at will. Fire on the best target. Where's... Oh, Tillman's artillery's finally moving. Alright, we drove off Ward. I'm going to send Rains. Actually, I'm going to send all of Longstreet's brigades, infantry brigades up. I'm going to disengage this division and pull them over here to hit his flank. I think by the time all of that happens, we'll win. Shadow Troopers and the 23rd Oklahoma are in contact. Alright, he's coming down here now. Alright, Tillman. Start pouring it into their flanks. Oh, Rains just broke. What happened there? 77 casualties and you broke? Oh boy. It's okay. This is not meant to be a attack that wins a battle. This is just basically holding these guys in place while we send this other division out to the flank. We broke him here. So this is all looking pretty good, because remember, I still hold all the objectives. Alright, this concerns me a little bit. I think maybe that's why those guys broke, is because of this artillery here. I'm going to send out some skirmishers who may actually end up getting driven back right away. They did. He's pouring more men down this way. Alright, Pike, let's get your guns set up and firing. Buford's got to get up on this fence. So these are the Shadow Troopers. They're doing good. They're confident. His guns are pulling back now. We just need Longstreet and those 2 brigades to hold. I'm going to send Johnston over this way. No, not right there. Just go right there. How's Harrison doing? Mississippi Rifles, nice and long range. You know what? Let's get these guys up. Davis Mountaineers. And the Houston Hounds. They're unstable, but that'll give us 3 brigades firing on 1. 1st Louisiana Tigers are going to come up here and surprise this battery. In fact, we're going to charge into him and destroy that unit. We are unstable, so I'm a little concerned about that. Armistead's low on ammunition. That's him right here, the Young Irelanders. They've lost 1,000 men almost. They're almost out of ammo. They're going to probably fall soon, or break soon, which is good timing for me to get these 2 brigades up. It's going to be a bloody battle. 4,300 casualties for me, 6,500 for him. Gotta be careful here because Hayes is already unstable. He's driving into this Confederate force, but he's also going to open himself up to a flanking attack here. So we've got to be careful. In fact, I'm going to tell him to stop. Maybe too late. He may get driven off. Alright. St. Patrick's Own. Hey, they've got a perk available. I like Deadly Volley for them. They've lost 700 men. Yeah, there goes Hayes. I was afraid that might happen. He only lost 70 men, but... Oh, the Smoky Mountain Brigade suddenly finds itself in real trouble. Alright, we've got a division commander wounded. General Koch was wounded. Up here fighting with the Smoky Mountain Brigade, who's in a really precarious situation right now. Who can we send to help him? 23rd Oklahoma looks like they've recovered some. At least enough to be able to get in there and help, I hope. Alright, we're going to advance Buford, see if we can intercept these guns. Who withdrew? Davidson. Oh, that was the cavalry unit that got tore up. Alright, we just lost another one. That's Walker's Greyhounds just broke on that side. But at the end of the day... That's not Walker's Greyhounds. That's Ragged Old First. They lost 1,200 men. I tell you what, for a unit that was unstable when the battle started, to stick around long enough to lose that many men is pretty impressive. Alright, we've got to do some redeployment here to make sure that we salvage this victory. Right now, look at the casualties. 5,600 of our own, 8,500 for him. That's pretty significant numbers we're looking at. Alright, well, I took a little break before I came back to it and then completely forgot to redeploy my units at the beginning of the day. But it seems like it's going to be alright because I think we are pushing toward a victory here. We just drove off Corcoran and Stockton, thus freeing up our left flank and allowing us now to be able to go ahead and move McGowan's division up as well as elements of this other division. Kennesaw Mountain Boys have lost about a third of their men in their very first action. Could you imagine your first combat in the Civil War and you lose a third of your brigade? I mean, that's intense. But we're very nearly there, and I think he's going to start pulling back. So let's speed up and see what happens. Yeah, he's pulling his brigades back now. Looks like he's leaving these guns behind. Some pretty significant casualties. Young Irelanders lost 1,000 men. St. Patrick's own 700. So Cleyburn's division, there we go. Cleyburn's division lost 2,000 men in this engagement. That's pretty substantial. Cox's division only lost 624, but their division commander was wounded in this fight. So let's go ahead and take a look at the final numbers. But that's an important victory for us in Kentucky. We fought a couple in and around Hopkinsville now. We really need to start pushing out from there, but we're waiting for spring, waiting for the ability to build our supply base and move forward. 10,000 lost for Dixon Miles in overall command between those two armies that were involved there. 5,700 for us. All right. Well, it's April 7th of 1862, right about the time historically that the Battle of Shiloh was fought. And that, I think, is currently... Those are the only two Union armies in Kentucky, though there is another one coming down. What I almost feel like I need to do is form another army over here near Knoxville, just until we can deal with all of this. The Army of Georgia finally has a couple of supply depots, but we need to get them at least to level 2, because even right now the Army of Georgia has enough depots to supply about 12,000 men, which is less than half of what they have. So they're showing 100% supplies in good condition, so maybe we can at least go ahead and start moving out, and then we'll have that base of supply moving forward. Let's put the army on scout. And then we're going to go ahead and move the Army of Georgia forward. And then I want to get the Army of Tennessee, or the Army of the Appalachians within reinforcing distance. I don't want them to hit there first, because they've only got 10,000 men. There's 28,000 in the Army of the Tennessee. We could take them on with Breckinridge by ourselves if we had to. But let's get these guys moving. Hopefully they'll be in range to be able to reinforce. Okay. Army of Georgia. And you can see it's kind of cool. Something that they've added recently in the game is that you'll see the armies camp at night. So they just don't keep moving the whole time. I'm a little concerned about the timing here. I'm going to try to stop the Army of Georgia. Hopefully they can get those orders before it's too late and they get too close, because I want to try and time this to where the Army of the Appalachians will be there. I want to be able to take both of these forces in against the Army of the Tennessee. Okay, new greenbacks flood the markets. Confederacy's printing new notes. That's our latest policy that we've enacted. At this point, not entirely sure where we want to go. I guess we'll go civilian warships. We'll go ahead and choose that. Army of Georgia's moving a lot faster because they were able to move by rail. Who's back? Oh, General Koch has recovered from his wounds. Suffered at that battle a couple of weeks ago, so it must not have been too serious. Okay. Army of the Appalachians. Oh, he moved his army. Oh, the Army of the Tennessee is coming up and sneaking in behind my 2nd and 3rd Corps. Look at that. And he's also got the Department of Pennsylvania. He's moved right past me down here. Okay. So what we're going to have to do then is we're going to have to move the 2nd and 3rd Corps. That's a pretty significant force between the two. Now what I'm going to do instead is we're going to... I think we'll go ahead and let me look at everything here, because I don't want to give him an opportunity to take West Virginia from me. So let's send the Army of the Appalachians up here just to cause a distraction in Grafton. The Army of Georgia is going to move back to Knoxville with the intention of driving up into eastern Kentucky. But I'm actually going to stop there. It's a shorter episode today, but I want to try and bring you more frequent content on this series, but that'll probably mean shorter episodes just because it takes me a while to make one of these episodes. So I want to try and get down to at least every other day, if not more frequent than that, while also giving you some of the content and some of the other games I've been playing. So let me know what you prefer. Do you prefer to have longer episodes, maybe 2 to 3 times a week? Or would you rather have like a half-hour, 25-minute, half-hour episode more often than that? Use the comment section below, and we will see you again soon. Thanks for watching.